Hello, everyone. What a big story. What a big story out of Kentucky. Small community, Whitesburg, Kentucky. I mean, less than 2,000 people. You've got one judge, you've got one sheriff. Everyone knows everyone else in this town. This is a story now that they're talking about around the country. You're talking about a sheriff going into the judge's chambers and taking out the judge and then just surrendering. We're going to talk about it. This is Vinny Live.
Get ready, get set, let's go.
It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. Get ready. So post inside the chat. Get ready for the prosecutor hat. Get set to like and to subscribe. Let's go. It's time for Vinny Live.
All right, welcome. It's Monday. Good afternoon to everyone. There's a big story, and things are starting to develop in all of this, and we're going to be learning a lot more pretty soon. First court appearance, I believe, is scheduled for Wednesday. Court TV will be there, and we'll have as many details. We've got Matt Johnson, our correspondent reporter, is there in Kentucky, so I'm going to have him on the show tonight at 8 o'clock. As he digs up some more details from all the locals. And here, this is the type of story you roll into town, you start talking to people, everyone knows something about it, right? Well, in this story, there are some facts and there are some rumors out there as well. And we're going to try to roll through both of them. For those of you, if you don't know the story, it's a simple story from the outside looking in. But I think the more we get inside, the more layered it will be. And I think there'll be much, much more to it because it doesn't really make sense because these two guys both respected in the community. You've got Sheriff Mickey Steins and you've got Judge Kevin Mullins. People speak highly. People who worked in the courthouse with them speak highly of them. And apparently they had a relationship, like an actual relationship. Right? That they were friendly. They were friends. That they knew each other. There was probably a professional aspect to it. And then there was a personal aspect, which I think is common when you get to a small town, less than 2,000 people living there. Everybody knows everybody. You know the mechanic, you know the barber, you know the guy at the hardware store, you know about his family. Right. And then when you get into the legal world, like there's not that many people. So everyone's wearing different hats at different times. This judge was the prosecutor at one point. Now he's the only judge. He was the only judge. And then you got the sheriff and then you've got a couple of deputies. But there's been way too much controversy in this small town involving two different stories that may or may not intersect. We still don't know at this point. But the one everyone is talking about that really got the nation's attention and got my attention when I heard that there was an incident involving a nug inside of a courthouse. And I had just spent so much time after talking about what happened in the Georgia high school and other schools, talking about how we've made our courthouses so safe. And then all of a sudden, this took place inside of a courthouse. And I was wondering, well, how on earth could it happen? How on earth could that happen inside a courthouse? And then the answer came pretty quickly. It was the sheriff, like the sheriff himself. So it doesn't matter. Like no one's going to question the sheriff walking around with his nug holstered on his hip. No one's going to say anything about it. It's just not going to be an issue. No one's going to think twice about it. And then when you get in a small town where everyone knows each other, you're going to think even less about it. So this was a courthouse, by the way, didn't even have metal detectors. Didn't have metal detectors. I mean, this doesn't happen in this place. Obviously, they're going to, I would think, make things safer. But even if there were metal detectors, that would not have impacted what happened here. I mean, the sheriff is the sheriff. Like the sheriff wears his on his hip. You know, sheriff is on duty 24/7. So, wow, and there have been different accounts. The account I want to go to, because there's a guy, the clerk of the court out there in Kentucky, spoke with my friend Ashley Banfield on her show on News Nation, and I wanted to put that clip up just to give you a little bit of the background here on what's going on. And it starts with Ashley's going to describe what one of the local papers is reporting and then asking, well, is this what happened? So let's take a listen to that so you have an idea.
The local paper said that there's video in the judge's office, perhaps even in chambers, because the local paper says the video shows what happened. And I just laid out that both men looked at their phones right before the shooting, and that the sheriff came around Judge Mullen's desk and opened fire 8 times. Is that accurate? Do you know of the video showing this?
I know of the video. I've not seen the video. I'm not sure what it showed.
Have you discussed the video and the contents of the video with anybody else, court employees, witnesses, anyone else who can corroborate that, yes, indeed, that is what happened?
That's my understanding.
So just to be clear, it is your understanding that that is exactly what played out. What the local paper is reporting is shown on a video. You're telling me tonight that that series of events, in your understanding, did play out like that.
Okay. So now you have a little bit of the background that this thing may very well be all on video. Now, this isn't going to turn into a whodunit, because it appears that he surrenders himself immediately afterwards. But it seems that the whole thing here is connected to cell phones, or the cell phone of the judge. Because I think what everyone's wondering here is, why would these two gentlemen, both well respected, one's the judge, one's the sheriff, the people of the community elected them to their positions. They believe in them. They trust them. Both were, part of the community. This isn't a town where like you become the judge and like you're hands off. No. This is like you're a part of the fabric. Like I think of this town, I think of Mayberry. Now, I know it's a different part of the country. That was North Carolina, right? But it's the same thing. Like the sheriff is the sheriff. And they may have more than Barney Fife as deputies. They have a few more here, I believe. But it's that small. There's only one judge. So if this was anyone else, if anyone else was the victim, this is the judge who would be hearing the case. Like there are no other choices. It makes no sense. And the big question is, why would he walk in there? What happened? And it just seems, from everything that I've read, everything that I've seen, every interview I've watched, that it was a moment in a private conversation where the sheriff looked at the judge's phone. Take a listen to more here from the clerk. We get some of the details from his understanding.
From my understanding, Judge Mullins handed the sheriff his phone. The sheriff looked at both phones. He had two phones one phone in each hand. He reviewed the phones. He laid the judge's phone back down and then stood up.
They had been seated prior to that when this phone exchange happened?
Yes.
And was there an audible argument? Was there yelling? There was some reporting yesterday that they had been arguing. Is that what happened, or was it all quiet?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I do not know. This Kentucky State Police is investigating the crime. We all are looking for answers. I've not only lost a county judge, our district judge, but our county sheriff and two personal friends.
Was the door to Chambers open to the staffers
No.
in the anteroom?
No,
Did those staffers who were in the outside room outside of Chambers, did they report hearing anything prior to the shots?
no argument. No,
And what about just conversation? Was there a normal conversation in normal tones prior to the shots?
they couldn't hear. The sheriff walked in and asked whoever was in the chambers that he needed to speak with the judge in private, and the doors were closed.
Close the door, personal conversation, asks whoever's in the chambers to leave for this personal conversation. So that tells me that the sheriff had some information that he wanted to talk to the judge about. And the looking at the phones seems to be the subject that the sheriff was interested in. And the judge handed the phone to him. So the judge didn't, according to what we're hearing here from folks who were on the ground there, and is looking at two phones. Well, one phone we believe is the judge's. Who's the other phone belong to? Is it the sheriff's phone or is it a third party's phone? Right? That's an important fact in all of this. The other important fact will be, well, the judge or the sheriff looked at the phone, put it down, stands up, apparently goes behind the desk, uses his nug, comes back, takes a second look at the phone, and then leaves. So the phone, when recovered by investigators, should show the exact screen or image, text message, whatever it is, that the sheriff looked at just before engaging in this conduct. That, to me, that's the whole key to everything. What is on there? Whatever's on there will answer the big question, I believe, that everyone has, which is why? Why would you do this, Sheriff? First of all, you know what the result of this will be, right? So this isn't a case where, things happen to get out of control. It seems like it was very specific. The actions of the judge, of the sheriff, like specific and intentional and thought through in the way this happened. Unless there's more to what happened in Chambers than we're getting here. But if you go in there, I need to speak with the judge alone on this personal matter. Sits down, the phones are down. And he's looking at the phone, and he's looking at two different phones at once. Because the sheriff, above and beyond anyone, knows exactly what the results of his actions are going to be. So whatever it is, I believe, touched a nerve that in his mind, this was something that was beyond anything else. And I need to take action. Now, further reading into this, you take a listen to what the sheriff does afterwards, right? Sometimes in these cases, we talk about what the defendant did afterwards. Did they cover it up? Did they flee? What did they do? Take a look and a listen to what this sheriff did.
That he picked up the phone again, the judge's phone, and looked at it and laid it back down and walked out.
after the incident.
So after the shots were fired, he did not render assistance. He did not check the judge. He picked up the judge's phone off the desk again, looked at it, and then walked out of the office?
From my understanding, again, I've not seen the video.
What did he say to the people outside the office the moment he came out?
There's no one there, I don't think.
And so where did he walk to after he left Chambers?
He exited the courthouse.
He didn't come into
Okay.
contact with anyone in the courthouse until he came outside on the front steps?
He came out a side entrance, turned and walked back in the front entrance.
When he walked back in the front entrance, what happened after that? What was he doing going back into the courthouse?
The first responders were responding. Of course, they probably thought he was there to assist them until he walked back in the courthouse, back into the courtroom, is my understanding, and laid his revolver or his pistol down on one of the tables.
At the very front of the courthouse, he laid his, is that his service revolver you're saying, or his service pistol?
In the courtroom. He walked back in the courtroom. From my understanding, again, I didn't see the video, so I'm not. It was just my understanding that he walked back in the courtroom and took his pistol out and laid it on one of the attorney tables.
Okay. Now, my understanding is Wednesday he's making his first appearance, and it may be in this same courthouse, potentially in the courtroom where he laid down his nug on counsel table. I mean, that's dramatic. It's thought out. It's purposeful. It's like, what I'm doing now, I know what it's going to cost, but I'm going to do it. This is not the result of some professional disagreement. This doesn't strike me as being about something having to do with a case. This strikes me as being personal and emotional. This is the type of action that you would see in the midst of and we see it a lot on court TV, in the midst of a family court kind of case where emotions override common sense and logic, where the emotions, it becomes too personal and the person acts out in a self-destructive way. To me, that's the analogy. So that's why I think this is, and you also take the clue from closing the door saying this is personal. You know, this is personal. I absolutely believe this is personal. So now let's get to what's happening out there, right? So there are the facts that are being reported, and it's being reported by all the local news and national news. And then it all ends with they're still trying to figure out why. Then there's the other side of the coin, which are all the rumors that are flying. And I'm looking in the chat, and everyone's talking about this in the chat. Everyone's talking about it in the chat. You know, what could this be about? Is this about, you know, a love triangle? Is this about a family member? And we just don't know. But the rumor mill at this point is part of the story because it's part of a drumbeat that is starting to pick up in terms of volume and intensity. So there's something else I want to show you. And this is the lawyer who is the local prosecutor and would have had this case, but has recused himself from the case. But he posted on his page on Facebook, like, a statement, because again, it's this type of community. You've been elected by these people. He feels like he owes it to them to tell them why he can't be the prosecutor in this case and the conflict he has. And he really has a connection to the judge, a very close connection. I'll let him say it in his own words. I don't want to paraphrase it. But here is the man who would have been the prosecutor in the case, but has recused himself, talking about his connection to the judge. But listen carefully to.
Good morning, everybody. This is Matt Butler, your Commonwealth's attorney in the 47th Judicial Circuit, which covers Letcher County. And I am sending out a video message this morning to discuss in more detail than I want to type everything related to my office and the tragic passing of Judge Mullins in the Letcher District Court yesterday. Many of you are aware of the close personal relationship I had with Judge Mullins. You may know, for example, that we, for many years, were married to a pair of sisters, that his daughters are my nieces, and that my two oldest kids are his niece and nephew. We were for many years on opposite sides of the courtroom from each other. He was the assistant Commonwealth's attorney when I was the public defender. We had fierce litigation. I respected him. We fought hard for our respective sides in court and tried cases against each other before he was the judge, and never had a disagreement outside of that courtroom. We have always got along. I always thought he was hilarious. I always thought he was very witty. He was fun to be around outside of court. And as a brother-in-law, I will never forget how kind he was to my children. It seemed that he had maybe endless patience for kids. He found them entertaining. He loved them. He was kind to them. He would do anything for them. And everything that I'm going to talk about today is in the context of somebody that I will always appreciate and respect for how he treated my children personally, and how he was as a father to his beautiful daughters.
Okay. So he's laying out some reasons for his conflict. And I mean, this tells you how small the town it is, that these guys used to try cases against each other, and they're sort of related. Like they're related through, I guess, marriage, and maybe one's a prior marriage. I'm not sure. I don't, doesn't affect me. I don't want to get into rumors and gossip about that, but you could see he took extra time to speak very well of the victim, Judge Mullins, who obviously he has this family connection to, personal connection to, and went out of his way to talk about how good the judge was and how well he treated his own daughters and his children as well. And that's because of the rumors and gossip. There's one main rumor out there. And I'm not going to report the rumor, but everyone is talking about it in the chat room, so you kind of know what it is. And that's where the rumors at this point belong in the chat room. When people want to talk about it, you can talk about it. It's called freedom of speech. The thing is, it's just rumors. The question is, when will because this whole case is about one thing. It's not a whodunit. It's all about why. And the why can impact the case in many different ways. From not just understanding why, but the why could be a potential defense. It could lower the mens rea of the defendant sheriff, right? You could go from premeditated, which it kind of looks like right now to a certain extent, first degree, to passion provocation, which could get you closer to a manslaughter. I've got to look at the Kentucky statutes. Every state has different statutes, and I cover all 50 states. So I'll have to take a look at, it's been a while since I've covered one of these in Kentucky and see what the case is. But the why of it, while in most cases has very little to do with proving anything in a case one way or the other, the why of it here could very well be what the entire defense is in the case. So now the same lawyer here addresses the rumors and gossip. And to me, this is just the day after. So locally, very quickly, everyone was talking. Everyone was talking. And so, I mean, his acknowledgement of it speaks volumes to me about how loud the rumors and the gossip is getting in Kentucky. So let's take a listen.
What I will not be is a source of gossip. I will not be the rumor pipeline. I do not expect you to, and you will not receive an answer if you just want to hear rumors about what happened. If you want to speculate and gossip, do not make me a part of that conversation. I'm not interested in being part of that conversation. And you should really take a look at yourself and ask yourself if you want to be a part of that conversation. This is not the time to gossip. This is not the time to trash people, to do anything other than show love and compassion for the children that are involved in this, including my children who lost their unkie, they call him. They lost their uncle. My beautiful nieces have lost their father. I am not interested in answering your questions if you are only looking to gossip or to be a troublemaker, a stirrer up of gossip. Leave me out of that conversation and just don't have that conversation. Be more respectful. There's a loud minority of you all that are doing that, and I'm asking you to stop.
Okay. That's the personal side, right? That's the personal side. But this is now a case. The charges have come down, and you've got to look ahead. Every one of these cases, there's always an issue. There's always an issue. Sometimes it's a whodunit. Sometimes it's a, well, what exactly is it? This is a case about why. Because there's apparently video, surrendered himself, all the ballistics, everything, eyewitnesses. I mean, airtight case about who is responsible for firing the weapon and causing the demise. Like, we know that. What we don't know is why. And what I'm saying here today is not to speculate as to what the why is, but to tell you that the why will impact this case, this trial. And if this does go to trial, it will be all about the why, and whether attempting to reduce this from the highest charge to something lower or to justify it. And I think the answer to the why lies in what's on that phone. And I don't know if the sheriff spoke. We may find out more. There may be documents released on Wednesday when he makes his first appearance. Many jurisdictions, first appearance, then the arrest affidavit becomes public. Or sometimes inside the courtroom, they give a basis and there's a bail application. And then they start talking about some of the facts of the case. So Wednesday is when we get to the facts that may get us closer to understanding the why, which will give us a better understanding of how this case will proceed. In the short term, obviously, this has devastated two families, one family more than the other, the family of the judge, because now he's gone. The sheriff is still here, but he's not a free man and may never be a free man. Likely will never be a free man, and likely he knew that at the moment he did what he did. So that's what makes this case different. That's what makes this case tragic. But the one piece of information that people are gossiping about is the most important piece of information for the case going forward. So that's where we are on this. I'll be talking about it tonight. Matt Johnson, as I said, our crime and justice correspondent, is on the ground there gathering up what he can gather up from folks who can talk. We're hitting the courthouse to get whatever documents are available. but it's still super early on this. I think Wednesday really becomes the big day in this case when we may learn a lot more. So that's where we are. Okay. We're going to get to your comments and your questions. Feel free to post them. I saw some early ones about me that were funny. Like some might say they're insulting, but others would say they're funny. I would say they're funny. But let's talk about this case. Let's kind of focus on, and again, everything that we've heard so far is and from the voters themselves, they like both guys are voted in by the people of this community. I think the case is getting moved. I've heard mixed things. I've heard that the case is being moved to a different county, but I've also heard that they're going to be in that courthouse on Wednesday. So my gut tells me they wouldn't be in that courthouse because that's like the scene, including the courtroom, might be where he was taken into custody. Like, that's bizarre. But I guess you could do that, right? They kind of did that in that Las Vegas case. Now, can I give one more prediction? Once we find out the why, I think there'll be a faction of people who will be supporting the sheriff. I think there will be. All right. MD 2020. Okay, no gossip then, but we still have questions. Oh, absolutely. We have lots of questions. But to me, there's one really big one. It's like, which is why, and to get to that answer, what was on the phone? What was on the phone? And if he's looking at two phones, what do phones do? They communicate with one another. I mean, we're just using some common sense here, right? So is it a picture? Is it a text message? Is it an email from one person to another? Is it someone saying something here and then verifying it here, or looking at both sides? I don't know. Is he looking at his own phone? Is the sheriff looking at his own phone? Not sure. But this case, this trial will be very personal, I believe, because what happened here was so personal. So I think the testimony will be personal. And I think, proving the case is not hard. Defending the case is hard. Extremely hard. He might not even go to trial. He may just plead guilty. Maybe you can always, if you're charged with something, you don't need a deal. You can always just plead guilty to it. And think about being the sheriff. I mean, if you're the sheriff and the result of this puts you behind bars, like, that's not a safe place for you. So you have to think whatever's on that phone drove him to the point of really no return. Okay. And Julia Ann, exactly. Prayers for both families. I think that the judge apparently has daughters. That's tough on them. Diana with an interesting acknowledgement here. We have no way of knowing why unless the sheriff says. I think you could figure it out, though. There's all different ways you can look at what's on the phone. But if there's a text message that implies something very personal that would, get someone really angry. Like if you just looked at a text message and then you said, oh, if this person saw that, what would they think? Oh, I think we could surmise it. And all that will be evidence in the case, because the why of it becomes the motive. Prosecutors don't need to prove a motive. In this case, maybe you don't want to touch the motive because the motive becomes the defense in the case, and you let them talk about that. Or maybe he testifies to why. Or it could come up in the argument regarding bail or bond, if that's what he's looking for. I don't think you get bond in with these charges, and they may just waive that as well. And thank you to Gen X keeping law and order inside the chat room. Tune in at 8 p.m. Closing arguments and Vinnie Politan investigates. You got links here if you want to. You have to figure out how to watch me on television. But we'll be talking about this in the 8 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock, bringing in our friend from Hidden True Crime to talk about the interview with Stern's parents. We're going to do a little bit of analysis of that thing. Bombshell after bombshell there, right? So that's at 9 o'clock tonight. 8 o'clock, we'll be talking about this. And Frankie Figs at work as well. Thank you, Frankie Figs, one of our other mods. Okay. So I'm not going to say what I wanted to give you a little bit of the law. I don't know whether I should. If I give the law, then I'm playing into the rumors. But the big rumor that's out there has a lot to do with one of the laws on the books, and it would be illegal, the conduct. That's all I'm saying. It would be, even though the age is the age. From my understanding of the rumors, it would be illegal conduct. And if it is, then that's the way it should be handled. It shouldn't be handled this way. Like, to me, and Luna one here is justified, but it's not. But a jury, a jury can do whatever they want. They could, if the why is so outrageous, you can have jury nullification. They could just say, we're not going to, why would we convict him of this? We understand it. But it's not illegal. That would, reacting to something, the only real justifiable defense is like self-defense. Self-defense is the only legally justifiable, morally justifiable. That's for everyone to figure out for themselves, right? And a big thank you to Jennifer Sube, also taking care of business for us. Thank you. Cricket Day. Hopefully not a misunderstanding. Could you imagine if something was... See, that's why I think for the sheriff to engage in this type of conduct the way that he did, there couldn't have been any ambiguity. There couldn't be any ambiguity. Okay, let's talk about this Shaquille O'Neal. Heat of passion just snapped, right? Which lowers the mens rea, which, again, I have to re-study the Kentucky statutes. But generally in the criminal law, will bring down the level of culpability, right? But then you have to look at the actions. What did he know beforehand? Like, heat of passion is right there. Heat of passion, the way they teach it to you in law school is, it's always a man, right? Comes home, it's always a man. Opens the door, goes to the bedroom. his wife's in bed with another man and he just happens to have a pistol and a nug, and it happens. And that's the classic heat of passion. There's no time to reflect. But if he has two phones and one phone is not his, and that message is what brought him to the judge's chambers for this meeting, right? If that's what brought him to the meeting, he already had time, arguably, if I was the prosecutor. I'll put on my prosecutor's hat for this. Just so you know, the role I'm playing right now is prosecutor. Get the prosecutor hat on. If he knew about what was going on before he got to the judge's chambers and then just eliminated all ambiguity by confirming it on the phone, I don't know if that's heat of passion. Ladies and gentlemen, he had time from when he first saw that and suspected before confirming it. However long it took for him to get in the car, drive over, get out of his car, walk into the courthouse, go up to the chambers, close the door, sit down in the chair, start having a conversation or argument with the judge. He had time to reflect. And if he may be armed all the time, I suspect he likely is, but if he took the time to arm himself, that too would demonstrate the planning, the plotting, and taking those steps, knowing what he would do. Like, did he know? Make the plan on the way. If I see the phone and this confirms, that's it. Heat of passion's got to be in the moment, not like, okay, if this happens, then I'm going to do this, because that gives you time to reflect and say, well, maybe I shouldn't do that because that's illegal, right? So that's where there's a problem in the heat of passion, potentially, in this case. And again, a lot of potentials. All right, missing Tika Lewis mom. Oh my goodness. Can you help me with my missing daughter's case? Contact, and they'll put up an email for you. One of the mods, just contact the mod, get your information to them, and they'll get it to me. And getting something on television requires a lot of different things, but you're doing the right thing. This is the first step, is for you to be out front. So please contact Gen X and get the information there. And then from there, I'll get it. And then I'll see what we're talking about. And I'll let you know exactly what we can do. Okay? I know everyone right now their thoughts are with you. 1,000. Everyone that's watching right now. So thank you for reaching out. That's the most important. And I've covered stories like this for many, many, many years. And the parents who are out there, as an advocate and have the strength to do that, really are able to push the story forward. And I always believe in all of these cases, the publicity that comes from the media does two things. It puts pressure on law enforcement and it puts pressure on the people who are involved. And it also spreads information obviously everywhere. So if there's one person out there that knows something, they can come forward. So let's see what we can do there. And LS, aka Chester's mom, I'm presuming that Chester is who we're looking at right here. There are some rumors about the sheriff. And there we go. There we go, right? So the rumors fly both ways. That's why rumors are dangerous. Sometimes rumors are true. Sometimes they're not. You know, you always have to trace the source of them. What's interesting, again, no local news organization, and they're going to be the ones closest to it, right? They're the ones, you know, in it each and every day. They have not reported on any of these. So again, Wednesday, I believe, is the day that we could perhaps have something here. Gen X reminding everyone about the rules. Yeah. Grape. It's nuts that we have to do this because I don't have to do this on television, right? Television is actually, you know, I'm on a broadcast station because we use the public airwaves. So we're regulated by the government. And I don't have to tiptoe through the tulips. You go on YouTube, you got to tiptoe through the tulips. All right, Ashley's looking for some merch. You should sell allegedly shirts. Allegedly. Yeah, I'm working on the merch department. The merch. All right. Ginny NYC. I don't believe there's justification for cold-blooded. Is there? No, not for cold-blooded. Not for cold-blooded, but passion, provocation, heat of passion. It's not a defense. It's a lowered mens rea, lower degree of offense. It's also self-defense is justified. But cold-blooded? No. No. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, we got another one from missing Tika Lewis mom. Please contact Gen X. I'm sure she's posting how to contact her right now. Thank you. Adam drives Helen. The reason lies in the phones, no doubt. Yeah. But I mean, in most cases in trials, right? There's so much evidence, digital evidence, but this one, it's like in the moment. In the moment. He's looking at the phone like seconds beforehand. Seconds beforehand. So it's the most important piece of evidence. And I suspect they should be able to get it. So Scott here talks about temporary insanity, no chance. Temporary insanity really doesn't, my history of court TV, I've never seen it. What I see is the heat of passion arguments, which again are not a defense. They're not a defense. They're a defense to the extent that it's something less than first degree. Tina Justice Falder. Is that your real middle name? That'd be amazing. Something doesn't seem right with this whole thing. No, there's more to the story, and it's the big part of the story, because these two guys should be right about now, 5:20. Hopefully, they would have been going home to their families after a hard day of work, serving the people of their community like they were elected to do. But that's not the case. That's not the case. Alicia, I could listen to Vinny all day. Well, you can listen to me right now, and then you can listen to me for 2 hours tonight on Court TV as well. So thank you, Alicia De Bruyne. Awesome. Okay. Ginny asking, is there a difference between speculations and rumors? I think rumors are more potentially tied to the truth than speculation. Speculation is just, well, it could have been this, it could have been that. Rumors, to me, like, they're not always true. They can't be reported. They can't be used as evidence. So from my perspective, they don't have that value. But sometimes the rumors turn out to be true, while the speculation, I think, less often turns out to be true. But in the beginning, speculation and rumors are in the same column. Like, okay, that's fine. Now show me some facts, present some evidence, and then we're talking. Mhm. I'll wait for one. This is Kelly Louise. I'll wait 100% facts. Clearly, a sheriff doesn't just lose it for no reason, but the judge still has a family. Let's not forget the judge for now. Let's think of his innocent daughters. Absolutely. Absolutely, Kelly. They are devastated, right? Families are devastated. All right. Geraldine and Mr. Case catching up. Geraldine Marie Batala. Batala. All right, Geraldine, you ready? Small town, Kentucky. One judge, one sheriff. They're apparently friendly. Sheriff shows up at the judge's chambers. The judge is in there with someone. The sheriff asks them to leave for a personal conversation. There's apparently a video, some surveillance video. They're behind closed doors. They're both sitting down. The judge hands the sheriff his phone. The judge looks at his phone and looks at a second phone that he has in his other hand. He then puts down the judge's phone, stands up, goes behind the desk. Then it happens. The judge is no longer alive. The sheriff turns himself in, puts his nug on the table inside of the courtroom. He's now charged with first degree. And everyone's wondering what was on the phone. Everyone's wondering if that will answer the question as to why the sheriff would do this with someone who apparently had plans to go to lunch with that day. Mm-hmm. 8 shots. Lovely. But it was 8 shots, not an accident. This is tragic. I hope truth and justice will prevail. I think the truth will come out here. I think this is one where we are going to get the truth inside the courtroom. And I don't think there's going to be any accident. I don't even think that's an issue. Mm-hmm. Okay. Faye Richards. Yes, I actually agree with support for the sheriff. Not living in the U.S. and the town where this happened, so tragic, sad for the families. But Faye is, I think a lot of people look at this and say, okay, the sheriff, this guy's got no history. You go on his Facebook page and he just seems like a nice guy. Like there's nothing. It's not like one of these people who get into the business for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? Like everything you look at, you look at him, it looks like a family guy. There's pictures, and I think he's got one daughter, a lot of pictures with her. He's doing fun things with his daughter, like out on an ATV. There's pictures of him with his wife. It's the three of them. And just seems like a nice guy, almost like an Andy Griffith, right? Like a Sheriff Andy. But that's not where we are today with all of this. So people look at that and they say, well, something set him off. This is whatever set him off just couldn't be right. There's something. We don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. And Dolores thanking all the mods. Dolores del Signore Nicholas. Thanks to all the mods. Here we go. Now, there was one other thing happening. I don't know if it's connected, but it may very well be connected. We go back to the judge's chambers. One of the sheriff's deputies essayed under duress one of the female inmates from the jail after hours in the judge's chambers. So the judge's chambers, not only the scene of what happened to the judge, also the scene of an essay by a deputy who has pleaded guilty to it and was fired back in 2022. The sheriff was now being sued and had just been deposed in a lawsuit where he's been named for not properly investigating that case and not properly training the deputies. So was that connected? Like, to me, I don't believe in coincidences, right? So like two outrageous things happen in the same place in this small town where this stuff never happens. How could they not be connected? And I think he had been deposed just a few days earlier. I think. I haven't confirmed that. So then you put all that together and you're like, well, what's going on in this town? What's going on in this sheriff's department? What's going on in this judge's chambers? Are these things connected? So that's the other side of the coin. So how would that so that could impact the sheriff, right? The lawsuit, the allegations against him, but it's a civil lawsuit. And it's an obvious person to sue in the civil lawsuit. If you're representing the victim, you're going to go after anybody and everybody. And when a subordinate does something, you go after their boss. So if it's a deputy, you go after the sheriff as well. And you try to, get him on the hook. Did he know? Did he do his job there? I don't know. All I know is what I just told you about the backstory of that lawsuit. But that lawsuit was also bubbling around. So you've got the lawsuit. You've got the phone. Is there a connection between those? Is there something about the lawsuit on the phone that's coming out? And he's comparing two phones? I don't put that together. But then again, I don't dismiss things that easily because usually in these types of investigations, things aren't coincidental. They're connected. So what's the connection there? What's the connection? Mm-hmm. Gringa asking, can you recall any other cases with the same players, a sheriff and a judge? I'm vaguely remembering one involving a judge, and I can't remember. I remember one involving two sheriffs. Like one sheriff was running for office and loses and then takes out the guy who beat him. That was in Georgia years ago. I remember that one, but that's two sheriffs. That was about politics. All right. I'm about 20 minutes behind, and so I'm going to try to catch up on some of the comments right now. I'm try to comment. All right. BBQ shaped biscuits. Premeditated? I think there's an argument, depending upon what happened before he got to the chambers. That's the key. That's the key. And it seems logically that something made him go there and close the door for this personal meeting before he ever looks at the judge's phone. So I think there may be a strong argument with premeditation here. Willie Mae McRae. It had to be something really awful for the sheriff to give up his life, family, and career, knowing it would be very hard for him to go to jail. He had to be protecting something or someone personal to him. I think that's what everyone is thinking about right now, Willie Mae. That's what everyone's thinking about. Erica J., could he Alford plea it, even though it's obviously him? An Alford plea, there has to be, my understanding, there has to be an agreement between the prosecution and defense. So the Alford plea is, I go into court, I don't admit what I did, but I concede that there's enough evidence to convict me. That you can't just go into a court and do. First of all, they're rare. They are very rare. And it's usually an agreement because both sides are at a place where, let's just get rid of this. We don't really want to try it, but we probably win. You've already served time. There's all those other elements involved in it. But you can just plead to the charges, to the indictment at any point. Any criminal defendant who's been charged can walk into court and say, I did it. And the judge can accept their plea. And in those cases, the judge can take into consideration that you have taken responsibility and give you a lower sentence on his or her own if they want to. Right? That's the biggest issue when it comes to giving someone a lighter sentence, is acknowledging your guilt and accepting responsibility, which is why when you enter a plea bargain, that's why you get the plea bargain, because you're acknowledging your guilt and you're accepting responsibility. But you can do that without an agreement from the prosecutor for a reduced sentence or reduced charges. You can just go to the judge and admit to all the charges as indicted. So I don't see an Alford plea in this. This is either walk in and just admit it, plead to it, throw yourself on the mercy of the court knowing what you're going to get, or we have a trial, and the trial is about why. Those are the two places I see this thing going. Okay. The Astro from space says the age of consent is 16 in Kentucky. Yes, unless the other party is more than 10 years older than you. So that's the little different. That's the little twist to all of that. Okay, here we go. Missing Tika Lewis mom. Jennifer Sube also posted it for you there. So vinny'smods@gmail.com. vinny'smods@gmail.com. VK wants to know, hi, y'all. What's the rumors? I'll listen to them. Exactly. Yeah. And trust me, as much as people are talking on social media, it's anything and everything in town. And tonight at 8:00, I'm going to go. Matt Johnson, our correspondent, has dropped into town there, and he'll be in the middle of it all. And we're going to speak with him tonight at 8:00. Lovely. Court TV. Will they cover the hearing? Oh, yes, we will. Wednesday. Not a dumb question, Ashley. What does mens rea mean? Mens rea is your state of mind. Your state of mind. So most crimes are based upon what your state of mind is. Was it intentional conduct? Was it negligent? Was it reckless? Was it premeditated? Was it in the heat of passion? It's your state of mind at the time of the crime. And personally, my own philosophical look at studying and punishing crime, I'm a firm believer that that's such an important part of all of this, is understanding the state of mind of the accused, which is why I generally don't like the criminal courts getting their claws into accidental conduct. Like, people make mistakes all the time. Sometimes it's beyond, right? And it's so reckless that we hold them responsible criminally. We take away their liberty rather than hold them responsible in civil court. I just think that's a slippery slope. And I think prosecutors are getting very, very, very aggressive right now. And I'm not as comfortable with that, because we all make mistakes. Everyone there's only one being that was ever on earth that was without mistakes, right? We make mistakes. We just do. Sometimes behind the wheel. DUI is not a mistake. That's purposeful conduct, getting yourself into that state of mind and grabbing the keys and getting in the car. But there are times we make mistakes. So we'll see. That's what mens rea is. It's all about your state of mind. I just think it's really, really important. Yep. Color Street, babe. Mickey Steins will be arraigned at the Letcher County District Court on Wednesday at 11 a.m. He will appear virtually before so they've got a special prosecutor, special judge, 11 a.m. It'll be interesting if there's any arguments made about bond or bail. May not be. But yes, Court TV will be there. Diana Smith. I don't repeat gossip, so I listen close the first time. That's funny. That's funny. Carrie Vance looking for the allegedly shirt. Allegedly is an important word, obviously in the criminal court world, but it's also important in the world of media and journalism and social media as well. The word's important because of a little thing called defamation. You can't accuse someone of something that they have not admitted to or haven't, that they didn't do. Like, someone can be accused, they could be innocent, right? Innocent. They could be innocent. So, we overuse it in the media, but we overuse it for a reason, because the legal department said you need to use the word, period. Yeah, we'll see how many, sometimes no facts come out in these first appearances, and sometimes a lot of facts come out. Sometimes a lot of facts come out. It varies. I'm with Court TV. We cover stories around the country. We cover trials around the country. Every jurisdiction does things differently. The way they handle the first appearances, what they say in court, what documents they allow to be made public, what they consider a public document, what prosecutors can say, what defense attorneys can say, what they'll say at particular hearings, what will be sealed, what will be in open court. It's the whole range. So we'll see. I can't predict Wednesday. All right. It's getting a little late for me because I get ready for the 8:00 show. So I'm going to wrap things up here. But I want to thank you. We got to 2,500 live streaming, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. Please please subscribe, share, retweet. Big thank you to Gen X, Frankie Figs, and Jennifer Sube. Inside the chat room. I appreciate it. I'll see you tonight at 8:00. We humans are sinners. Absolutely, Kimberlina 68. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, who won the results? Oh, wait a minute. We can't go yet.
Time to get happy. It's time to get funky. It's time for us to smile, because here comes McSpunky.
All right, McSpunky, great to see you. Thanks for stopping by, bringing a smile to our face as we get ready to end this live stream. I'm Vinny Politan. I'll see you at 8:00 tonight. As I leave you, I will play for you the new theme song to this live stream. Got a new theme song. So I'll play it on the way out so you can give me your opinions of it. If you haven't heard it yet, you may not have heard it on the way in. There was only a handful of people. Now we got 2,500. So have a great day. And don't forget to hug the kids.
Hey, get ready, get set, let's go.
It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's City Live. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's City Live. Get ready. So post inside the chat. Get ready for the prosecutor hat. Get set to like and to subscribe.